Hello, my name's Tom Ingram. I'm the Chair of Clinical Standards and Departmental Accreditation for the British Society of Echocardiography, and I've got a real keen interest in teams and network collaboration. And it's my real great pleasure today to talk to my friend and colleague, Mr Keith Pearce from Wythenshawe Hospital in Manchester. And Keith has been at the forefront of a fantastic development that the British Society of Echocardiography have been supporting for a while now, which is the idea of an Echothon. And I'm going to spend a bit of time just talking to Keith about this and the way in which it's really improving matters for our patients during this COVID recovery period. So, morning, Keith.
Morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So,
Good,
Keith,
good.
I wonder if you could just tell me a bit about this rather wonderful sounding Echothon and what you did.
So, to be honest, it's something that we've been doing for quite a while as individual trusts, and all we've made a difference here in a change in practice really is about looking at the picture rather than just as a silo of an individual hospital. So the whole concept of Echothon, which I have to give the credit to one of my colleagues, Janet Fallon, who came up with the term, which is very nice as it fits with hackathon and all of the buzzwords. But what we did within our network in Manchester is quite strong. We have 8 to 9 trusts across Greater Manchester. And within those 8 to 9 trusts, we know a lot of the echocardiographers. And I kind of came up with the concept of chatting to some people across the network and said, why don't we look at resolving Greater Manchester problem as a Greater Manchester problem and not as an individual silo problem? So what we did is we had some conversations about the standards of echo in virtually every department across GM, if not all of them. It's very good because, you know, the society has done a massive amount of work in raising the standards and the quality of echo. And we're not repeating echoes because of quality. We repeat echoes in individual trusts because of IT infrastructure and problems like that we haven't been able to resolve. So we had a chat, we had some open discussions about whether or not people would be happy to consider working in other departments. And COVID was kind of like the catalyst of that. Tom, you'll know the Nightingale centres and all these things meant your NHS badge allows you to go and work effectively anywhere, which was good. And what we tried to do is reintroduce that type of model by getting people to go from individual departments into other departments to help resolve the problem as part of the catch-up. And I'm hoping that once we've resolved the problem in one area, we can take this model of moving the staff voluntarily, as they're all volunteers, move them around into their hospitals so we can go there and help them to recover some of their COVID recovery activity.
So thank you, Keith. What kind of backlog numbers were we looking at here which prompted this fairly rapid solution? And so, on top of that, what kind of staffing numbers did you need to bring forward these mammoth echo sessions?
Well, the total number across GM would be difficult to be absolutely accurate, but I'd expect it's going to be somewhere in the region of 10,000. Our own particular trust has 1,000 patients who are on COVID recovery backlog for. Other trusts have got a couple of thousand here and a couple of thousand there. But across GM and across, you know, like I know, across the pan London is much bigger numbers, but it's about 10,000. And when you sit back and you take a minute to reflect and look at services, in my hospital, we run a 7-day service. So we have echo activity all day, every day. But we don't utilise all 7 of our echo rooms all day, every day. So when I've got 5 echo rooms lying dormant on a Saturday with 5 machines and 5 facilities, there is an opportunity to staff them with a wider pool of staff from across the city. And if you can open them up, open those 5 rooms up, on some days we opened up 7 rooms, and we have 10 patients per room per day, per sonographer. So they're all at 45 minutes as per the societal standards. We stagger it slightly. It's slightly unusual. The first one might be 50 minutes and the second one might be 40 minutes, but as an average of the 2, it would be 45 minutes. Just try and ensure that not everybody's clambered in the waiting room at the same time. But by running those rooms getting through 5 rooms of 10 in a room, 50 a day. All of a sudden, that's 100 a weekend. And then by the end of August, we were somewhere in the region of 360 patients. By the end of September, we'll have done our 800 patients, which is our primary focus at the beginning, to get through 800 appointments within 2 months. That will help our trajectory come all the way back down to 6 weeks maximum wait for an echo. And then we should hopefully be able to maintain that. But that doesn't help anybody else, does it? It helps my hospital, helps Wythenshawe, and there are other hospitals across the trust that we need to consider how we can replicate, duplicate, and take this type of thing around.
Yeah, I understand that, Keith, and I think it's a proof of concept model that will be easily transferable, as you're describing. One thing I wanted to ask you about is, clearly this requires a lot of organisation and resources attached to that. And I wonder if you could just tell me a bit about how you were able to tap into those resources, particularly with the COVID situation as it has been.
Yeah, well, I have to be absolutely honest. The executive team at Wythenshawe were very, very supportive of any, they kind of like put out a bit of a dragon's den type of approach to saying, we've got problems with non-admitted RTT pathways. Is there anybody in non-elective side who could do anything to help? Anybody got any ideas? And I went up with the concept that echo is a key diagnostic to RTT pathways, and not just for cardiology and cardiac surgery. This is the important element, I think, of this whole project, that orthopedics, maternity, all the other services across the hospital still require this key diagnostic. So by offering a solution that provides support to everybody is better than just looking at pure cardiology, which is often what we end up doing, being focused in echo. So by pitching that to them and saying, look, we could potentially, hopefully help all of these RTT pathways by not delaying a diagnostic and not being the problem anymore, being the solution to ensuring these patients, you know, because COVID catch-up isn't just cardiac, is it? It's all these orthopedic procedures and all the other bits and pieces. So responsive, they've been extremely supportive, they see the benefit, and they've asked us to deliver the benefit. And, you know, with good directorate management support, I've got a great team of people who work for me who it's easy to come up with ideas, but it's not easy to implement them. They implement them, they really do. And the staff who've been helping across, the whole GM staff who've been helping to deliver, it's been fantastic. It's been a real success for us.
I think I really hear what you're saying, that there is an enthusiasm out there amongst our colleagues in management to get on top of these problems, but what they lack are the ideas as to how to engage those resources. So your ability to link in at the right time there, I think, has really borne fruit, and it is a model which colleagues who are in a similar position, I'm sure, will be able to share with their managers and hopefully take things forwards. Now, something else I wanted to talk a bit about with you, Keith, is at the BSE, we've really championed the idea of local networks, regional representatives. And I think you mentioned earlier to me about how you found that network that was available to you really gave you a kickstart to be able to bring people together. And you've brought across, I think you said 9 different trusts, so colleagues from 9 different trusts around you. And I just wonder if you could comment on any of the collateral benefits on top of getting on top of your waiting list, but any of the collateral benefits that bringing together this network has had for you.
So the networks in some places are very embryonic, and in other places, in Manchester, it's a very strong cardiac network. And what's really good about it is it's inclusive. So it has representation from physiology and scientists, from nurses and specialist nurses, cardiologists, surgeons, primary care, secondary care, everybody. So having everybody at the table who's got a common problem has really helped us to open that debate and then include their departments. Now, the guys and girls who've been coming over, not all 8 trusts have participated yet, because, you know, we're in August, it's peak holiday time, September, people are busy. But those trusts that have participated, the feedback I get from them has been really, really positive. I mean, Wythenshawe Hospital is part of MFT, which is part of a large Manchester tertiary trust. And I want to break down these barriers that people perceive the tertiary centres to be these big, fancy, dancy places where all the real complex stuff goes on. Echo, the standard of echo that I've seen from the individuals visiting us has been on a par with everything that's in my unit. And that really reassures me that the patients, irrespective of where they're pitching up in any trust, are getting a good standard of care. And I think the guys and girls coming over have realised actually what we're doing in our hospital is as good as that. So it kind of breaks down some of those barriers, which then opens up other communications and other channels for saying, well, actually, you know what? I've seen a couple of transplant patients today and I've echoed them. I've never seen a transplant patient, you know, in where I work every day. So that is huge. And the realization that the accreditation of individuals, the accreditation of departments has improved the standard of echocardiography is a real feather in the cap for the society. And I think I mentioned to you before, Tom, that the IT limitations are what are now holding us back from being a truly network workforce. Future going forward, I think once we resolved in Wythenshawe, the opportunity is now for us to take that group up to another area of Manchester and resolve their problems, because I can assure you, they've got problems there. They don't have to solve them on their own. They may never be able to solve them on their own, but we can solve them as a citywide GM staff passport, whatever we want to call it. If we can really just take that approach to get rid of the backlog, that will help us all massively. Going forwards, well, there are other things with training and echo trainees and STPs and all those things to help resolve the workforce issue going forward. But unless we catch up, we'll never catch up. We'll always be chasing our tail forever and a day.
Well, it really does sound, Keith, that you've made great progress here, and I'm absolutely delighted to hear that you've gained traction with the wider network, and you know, those simple wins of just breaking down barriers between institutions are so powerful for us going forwards. And I think as a community, it's what we've always stood for, and it's nice to see it now projecting out in our day-to-day activity. Just one final thought for you, Keith. You've asked for a lot of time off colleagues here, and we're all really keen to put in time to help our patients, because we all know, as bad as it's been for us, for our patients, it's been worse. And I just wonder if you could just run me through colleagues who've helped with this. What's been the impact for them on their working week, things like that? So
it is a completely voluntary basis, and it is effectively like a waiting list initiative. If people don't want to do it, I completely understand that. People have issues with travel, people have issues with feeling underconfident. I'm hoping that we can cross some of that issues of confidence and coming over and learning off each other. The voluntary basis means that people don't have to go above and beyond, but you know, like I know, Tom, and people listening to this will be working 5 days a week, running extra lists, not getting anywhere. And it's just the concept that the volume that we're able to deliver by concentrating it in one place. We did actually look at whether or not we run every department a smaller, you know, 2 rooms here and 3 rooms there and 2 rooms here, and then took the patients and pooled them and then sent them out across the region. But that probably wasn't felt to be the most benefit for the patients, because patients like locality of where they are. So we're taking the staff to the patients. This has existed in other fields for years. So if you look at satellite surgeons clinics, so not all the cardiac surgeons only do clinics in the tertiary centres. They go out to all of the periphery hospitals and do their clinics. It's exactly the same. We just reversed it, haven't we? It happens with the Wythenshawe Hospital is a regional centre that has regional beds. So we offer a service, PCI being the primary one, that people come to when they need immediate care. And that's supported by cardiologists from around the region who are part of the on-call systems to allow that facility to run during the night. It's a very similar system to that. It's just slightly easier to plan because it's elective and it's not non-elective emergent admission. And if people buy into it and get into it, then I'm hoping that their pressure on their time going forwards, once we've caught up, will be less, because we should not have to do as much, should we? And not be, as I said before, forever chasing your tail round and round and round in this world. When you've got to break the cycle, do something different, and just try and see. And I think network-wide workforce could well be, a potential vision of the future.
Well, Keith, thank you very much for taking the time to run through the Echothon with me this morning. And thank you for listening to this broadcast.
Thanks very much.